Hey guys, Brett Weiss here. Welcome to another video. I really appreciate you tuning in. It means a lot. So I'm sure most or probably all of you have heard by now that Microsoft has acquired Activision / Blizzard for close to $70 billion. That's billion dollars, an insane amount of money that most of us probably can't even comprehend. But it's a lot of change, a lot of spare change lying around the house. And immediately people are thinking, well, what is this going to mean for Call of Duty? Will Call of Duty become an Xbox exclusive? Will it be on the PlayStation and Xbox? And on and on. You know what occurs to me? What happens to the amazing category of Activision games created for the Atari 2600, those IPs? And I thought about 5 titles in particular that I would love to see Microsoft bring back. Not just in emulated form, just the original games, but I'd like to see upgraded remakes of these games. Kind of like what Atari is doing right now with Centipede, Missile Command, Asteroids, and some others. I'd like to see updated remakes of these, multiplayer, with updated weaponry perhaps, and maybe slightly dazzling graphics, dazzlier, updated graphics, whatever. I think that would be super awesome. So I'm gonna go over with you guys 5 Activision games I would love to see. 5 Activision Atari 2600 games in particular that I would love to see brought to modern consoles, the Xbox for sure, but maybe other consoles too. I would love to see Microsoft do this. This would be amazing if we could have some updated Atari 2600 games. All right, guys, let's go through 5, my 5 picks. So I'm gonna start with number 5, and that would be Kaboom. Now I might put Kaboom higher up on the list if paddle, rotary paddle controllers existed for modern consoles, but they do not. Even so, I'm putting Kaboom up there. Where you're guiding the buckets back and forth and you're catching the bombs to defuse them. Incredible game that requires a laser focus. It is super fun. If you want to have a great time on the Atari 2600, type of experience that you can't really have on modern consoles because of the paddle controllers, try out Kaboom for the 2600, but I would love to see an updated remake. See what they could do with that. See what they could do with dual analog sticks or 2-player, like maybe the 5200 version where one player controls the buckets and the other player controls the Mad Bomber up top dropping bombs. That would be amazing. So bring back Kaboom for modern consoles. I'd love to see it. Oops. All right, so next up, number 4. Check out Mega Mania. Now you guys have watched the channel a lot. You know I love old school fixed screen shooters. What they used to call slide and shoot games back in the Electronic Games Magazine days. Mega Mania is awesome. The 2600 version and the 5200 version are both great. In the 5200 version, you can actually tell what objects you were shooting at. I've got my boxed copy back here of Mega Mania. But we're focusing on the 2600 here because that's what most people grew up playing, Activision games for the 2600 as opposed to the 5200. So I would love to see Mega Mania brought back with, different objects to shoot out, maybe some 3D stuff going on, but, maybe 2.5D or whatever. I would love to see an amazing modernized version of Mega Mania with spread fire, with, just all kinds of updated weaponry and updated graphics, and they could do some cool stuff with this. There's just not enough fixed screen shooters in today's marketplace, especially by big companies. So let's see some Mega Mania for modern consoles. I would love it. Now next, number 3 is Seaquest. Now very briefly, this is sort of a little promo halfway through the video, but I am talking about Seaquest. I'm gonna read my little entry on Seaquest that appears in Classic Home Video Games 1972 through 1984. This was the first book to fully cover in libraries in the entirety on consoles like the Atari 5200, 7800, ColecoVision and television, etc., etc. But I'm gonna read the Seaquest entry for the 2600, just to give you a little capsule review of the game. I would love to see this for modern consoles. It would be so awesome. So Seaquest, one in a long line of arcade quality games from the folks at Activision, Seaquest is a finely tuned, flicker-free shooter in which players control a yellow submarine. No, not the one from the Beatles tune that shoots right and left at nicely animated sharks and enemy subs, the latter of which can fire back. Not including the boat floating on the surface of the water, there are just 2 types of enemies, and they move in simple patterns. However, they do get deceptively difficult to shoot in later rounds, especially when the screen starts getting a little crowded. Adding to the fun are divers to rescue and the fact that players must surface frequently to get oxygen, like in the alligator scenes of Jungle Hunt. See, this book just has capsule reviews, just simple thing, you know, instead of slogging through a ton of stuff on the internet, you can just get simple capsule reviews of, you know, retro video games, vintage video games. That's my entry for Seaquest that I would love to see updated. How awesome would it be to get a side-scrolling shooter with the just really finely honed gameplay of Seaquest for modern systems with some really maybe cool looking, maybe some gruesome looking fish or something like that, or a photorealistic diver. I don't know. Let's check it out. You know, come on, Activision / Microvision. Microvision, there's a Freudian slip. Microsoft, let's bring Seaquest to the present. All right, guys. These last two may not be a huge shock to you if you can see my t-shirt, and if you've watched my channel much, you might know that River Raid is my favorite Atari 2600 Activision game ever. It's one of my favorite Atari, 2600 games, but it's definitely my favorite Activision game. Amazing. It's number 2 instead of number 1, which I'll give you reasons for in just a minute when I get to number 1. But I would love to see, this top-down, vertical scrolling awesomeness of River Raid with the great gameplay where you slow down over, fuel depots to refuel your ship, and you're just timing your shots. And it's not a bullet hell game because this was released way before that was even a subgenre, but it is intense, it is action-packed, and there's a lot of maneuvering and awesome shooting in this game. River Raid, how amazing would it be to see this on the Xbox or the PlayStation today? How cool would that be? All right, guys, number 1, as you can see, is Pitfall. And I'm sure for a lot of you, that's gonna be the number 1 game, but let me tell you exactly why. This is not my favorite Activision game for the 2600. It's probably top 4 or 5, but it's not my favorite. But I would love to see this fully brought to the present with just incredible graphics and fully scrolling gameplay. Now, Pitfall was a huge influence on side-scrolling platformers like Sonic the Hedgehog, like Super Mario Brothers, and on and on. But it didn't truly scroll. As Pitfall Harry would go from screen to screen, there would be like a transition from screen to screen. It didn't scroll, it would just jump to one screen to the next. But I would love to see a fully scrolling Pitfall. Yes, there were Pitfall sequels like Super Pitfall for the NES, but it sucked. And there was Pitfall Mayan Adventure for consoles like the Super Nintendo and Jaguar, and that was actually a pretty good game. I remember playing it a lot on the Sega CD, but that was pretty good. But I'd still like to see a fully updated, fully remade, gorgeous, lush graphics, Pitfall Harry looking very realistic, and a true side-scrolling Pitfall, maybe with some 3D elements for modern consoles. Well, there you go. There's the 5 Activision games, my top 5 Activision Atari 2600 games that I would love to see updated, remade, reimagined for modern consoles. New power-ups, fresh graphics, but not, you gotta, a fine line. You don't want to make these games so modern that they're indistinguishable from, these open world games where you're just roaming all over and you get lost and bored. No, I want one that's action-packed, some games that are action-packed, that are pretty linear, and that are just tons of fun, easy to pick up and play, but still advanced over the originals. So let me know in the comments, what are your 5 picks for Activision games you would love to see updated, remade, Atari 2600 games brought to the present, to modern day consoles. I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know where I went wrong. Let me know what titles I left out, what you would include. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. You can still pre-order the NES Omnibus Volume 2. It's supposed to ship in late March. And you can order all of my books direct from me, U.S. residents. Anybody else, go to Amazon. Thank you so much for watching. We will talk to you guys in another video. If you're a fan of my work, you might want to consider supporting me on Patreon. For just a low fee each month, you get a lot of extra content. Another way to support the channel and my writing career is to buy books direct from me, including the 100 Greatest Console Video Games, the Classic Home Video Game Series. It's like an encyclopedia set. And this massive bad boy, the NES Omnibus Volume 1 A through L. I will put links in the description of this video where you can buy books direct from me and where you can support me on Patreon. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.